The New York Jets have not nearly been as good this year as some thought they would be. The expectations were much higher than 2-7. Chris, you and I thought that between the Bills and the Jets, one of these two teams would become contenders. Well, the Bills did, the Jets didn't. But the good news for Adam Gase, he's not on the hot seat, according to team chairman Christopher Johnson. Christopher Johnson said yesterday that Adam Gase will not be fired either during this season or after it. Said Christopher Johnson, it's the trust I see. Seeing him work with Sam Darnold gives me a lot of confidence. Seeing him work with Joe Douglas, the new GM of the team, it's a whole new dynamic in this building. It's a really positive dynamic. They have the same vision for this team going forward. There are a number of reasons, but those two really big ones are why I feel confident about Adam being our head coach going forward. So, look, this doesn't surprise me because, again, Joe Douglas wasn't the best GM that they could find as a result of exhaustive search where it took into account no factors other than finding the best GM possible. This was a guy that Adam Gase wanted. Nothing against Joe Douglas, but this is a guy Adam Gase wanted. So Joe Douglas isn't whispering to Christopher Johnson, we need a new head coach. Douglas is there because of Gase. He's working with Gase. They are working hand in hand, and they're trying to work this out. So it doesn't surprise me that Christopher Johnson is on board with it because Joe Douglas is on board with it. Yeah. And as long as Joe Douglas is on board with it, Johnson's going to be on board with it, and they're all going to be fine until Woody Johnson comes back from the UK where he's the U.S. ambassador and fires everybody. Until then, though, I think it's going to be Joe Douglas as the GM and Adam Gase as the head coach.
I have no problem with this. I don't. And again, I know I'm living up here in the New York area, and I know Jets fans are ready to, pop their heads off, and they're going crazy, and they don't want that vote of confidence for Adam Gase at this point and things like that. I heard people here in the building yesterday kind of ranting about that, and I understand. But also, with Adam Gase specifically, one, hey, he made some Dolphins teams who weren't very good, very competitive the last few years. He went to playoffs with a team down there in Miami that wasn't that talented and found a way to get them into the playoffs. There's something to that. Other years they had other disasters and he kept them competitive. Now, this year, let's get into that, okay? They probably had the toughest first 7 games in all of football schedule-wise. Sam Darnold gets mono. C.J. Mosley's out. Let alone he had to deal with the crap that McCagnon had left over on that roster. Their offensive line sucks. I mean, there's no other way to say it. There's no special people on the defensive line as of right now. There's stupid, bad signings in the secondary from McCagnon. And Joe Douglas is there. And I think Joe Douglas, yeah, you're right, part of the reason he's there from Adam Gase. But damn, I think he's also shown that he was worthy of that job. And especially coming from the Ravens and the Eagles, two of the teams we've seen that are more the better built football teams over the last 10 to 15 years. So I think you do stay the course here. You got to. At least one more year. You have to do that. The Jets roster is crap, and I think it's proven this year, let alone they've had some unfortunate problems and injuries and things like that.
One of the things, Chris, that increasingly fascinates me about the NFL, the tension between the business interests of a team from January to August when you're trying to create excitement so you can sell tickets and jerseys and just create a sense that this year can be the year. And then the coaching staff, which does not want that bar to be set unnecessarily high. And I think the coaching staff bought into the idea that the Jets are better than maybe their circumstances and their schedule would suggest. And, there were some people who didn't like the fact that the Jets were in the 20s when we had power rankings. And yes, folks, as much as they act like they don't pay attention, they pay attention. And, right now, this team would be lucky to be in the range of 20 in the NFL's overall power structure. But I just think that these teams need to have a better strategy for managing expectations in the offseason. You want to sell tickets. You want fans to be motivated to make the financial commitment to support the team. But you also don't want your customers to be completely and totally upset with the product that they get. And again, even if the expectations had been tempered, 2-7 is a season they didn't expect. But I think the Sam Darnold mono,
yes,
I think that he's still at some level dealing with that to a say. You just don't flip a switch and it's like you never had mono. It takes some time to get over it, which makes what he did against the Cowboys even more amazing.
No, yes, that, and then C.J. Mosley was the quarterback of the defense. So you got two guys that are like the leaders of both sides of the football that aren't there for a significant amount of the time. That is tough. And yeah, I mean, would I have liked to seen some better showings during that time? Yes, definitely would have. But again, I know I over-evaluated some of the things they've had on the roster. Kelechi Osemele and some of the things he's dealt with and that fiasco. I mean, there's just a number of things that are issues there altogether. And I think you got to give Adam Gase a chance here and Joe Douglas a chance to build something in their vision. And they need some difference makers. That's the biggest thing. And they got some money to play with, So can they get a pass rusher for the first time since John Abraham? I mean, can they do some things like that in the offseason? That's going to be the big thing to you're saying, to sell tickets, to get the fan base re-energized and things like that. They need to find 2 or 3 difference makers to help the team out and help just the perception of the team with the fans in the New York area.
What else they need to do, Chris, from a PR standpoint, they need to work some of the more prominent voices in the local media a little bit better than they are. They've made some enemies because, look, when Maccagnan gets fired, to the extent that Maccagnan is someone who's providing information and access to people in the media, and that's shut off now, you get people who are upset, and you get people who maybe have a little bit of a vendetta and maybe would like to see the house get clean, so they would have somebody in there that would give them the information that makes it easier to do their jobs. That's part of the game that these teams have to play if they want to have a good relationship with the media. And in New York, I think it's important to have a good relationship with the media.
Well, I agreed. I mean, both teams in New York, I feel like, are fighting the media public perception issue. And the Jets, yes, you're right. That's a very valid point, Mike.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.